Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Eric.
Pigeon.
We are finally back covering some more Santa Barbara. We have a little supersized episode because we watched 8 episodes, 21 to 28. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get into it. Okay, so can we just talk about the teenagers to get them out of the way? Because they're my least favorite part of the show.
I still like it. I mean, I don't know. I like everything. I like the mix of it all, I guess.
It feels like every group feels like a different show. The teens feel like a different show.
Agreed.
Joe feels like a different show.
Yeah, right.
And Tana feels like a different show.
Yeah, it's true. It's
But
very
okay, so
interesting.
the teens in Hollywood, Jade meets up with that skeezy who I am presuming to be a porno producer at a fancy restaurant, and Danny's keeping an eye on her from afar at another table. Ted ends up being there. I can't remember if he was there originally.
I think he was. I think they went together.
Okay. So, because it's a fancy restaurant, and they're broke, they can't afford anything.
Yeah.
And the waiter knew that they couldn't afford anything. And they were like, yeah, we'll just take the shrimp cocktail. And he suggests how many shrimp and cocktail sauce to make it go a little further. And then
Yeah,
he's like,
and
and I
like
presume you want water.
yeah, Ted's a Capwell, so how doesn't he have money?
Because
Is
I
he
think
like
the
one
whole
of
thing
those
is him, he's supposed to be there trying to make it on his own, not using his father's
uh
money. That's why he's working at that crab shack or whatever it's called.
uh,
Fisherman's
Pirates
Cove.
Cove?
Yeah, Pirates Cove. Um, so as Jade and this producer are leaving, they see them, and she says that they're acquaintances of hers or business associates of hers, and they pretend that they own a restaurant. And he orders them the most expensive thing on the menu, saying that there's that they have to try it. There's no excuse. And he says, you can put the wine on my tab.
Yeah. The waiter in this episode is actually the bartender from the show The Jeffersons.
Oh,
He's
really?
like a regular. He's a regular on The Jeffersons. Yeah, he's a big like character actor. He's in a ton of stuff. It was nice to see him in this
Okay.
though. I was like, oh my God, that's
Yeah, he
like
didn't seem unfamiliar, so maybe I have seen him in other things.
probably it probably seen him in Facts of Life. Since you're watching Facts of Life.
Probably.
He could have been in that an episode or two.
um, so they try to rush to the kitchen to stop the order from being placed, but the waiter ran in to put it in.
Yeah,
So the whole time I'm like, well, I guess they'll be washing dishes.
right. I'm like, wow. Although this is kind of like always unpredictable to me. Like I thought the same thing, but then like I forget how they got out of the situation, but then they
Yeah,
end up getting out.
Ted went back to the apartment and they basically scrambled to find all the change in the apartment, and Jade went
Yeah,
back and paid for everything.
that
And then
was
she
funny.
pissed at him. She's like, because now we can't eat because of you.
Right?
Um Also, the boys mostly are on the lookout for this cop that arrested Peaches 3 times when she was younger, when she was fan
Yeah,
dancing.
were they trying to hook him up? I'm like confused
Yeah,
with that.
I feel like they were.
Did she say she
um
liked him? Like I was confused.
Peaches is the only thing I care about in this whole teen story. Whenever she's on is when I pay attention.
I actually, as I was watching, especially after what Ted does in the last one, I'm like into Ted and Lakin now. I'm like,
Oh my god.
okay,
Me too. Okay,
I
we'll get to
know.
that later.
Okay. I
I
was
was like,
like,
wow.
oh man. I'm
I was
like,
like, dude,
why did they, I didn't even like Lakin, but
I
now
know I
I'm
was
like,
thinking about
I don't
that.
know. But I do
Um,
now.
so apparently the third time that Peaches got arrested, she stole the watch off the cop. And she's felt guilty about it for 30 years. Who knows how long it's been?
Yeah.
But she still wears the watch every day. She doesn't feel that guilty.
Yeah, right.
So
And
they
that's
find
funny.
the cop, he's, like, basically working security on, like, a studio set. We find out that, he was married at one point to an actress, but they're divorced now.
Yeah.
Um, they remind him of Peaches, and he vaguely remembers, but he's not really down to see her.
Yeah, he's not.
And I guess they
But he
somehow
is curious.
convince him.
He said she was a looker.
Yeah. She
So
also
he did
mentioned she was
remember.
never nude. I think she said that he arrested her for, like, pornography or, like, being nude. She's like, "I always wore a flesh-colored, like, bodysuit."
Right?
So,
Yeah.
the kids end up hooking them up. He shows up with flowers, and when Peaches answers the door, he's there and she screams, and she, like, slams the door in his face.
Yeah. That's
Um,
cute.
Lakin ended up showing up because she got into a fight. Oh, because she didn't approve of Joe and her mother sleeping together.
Yeah, so she didn't want to be there.
Yeah. Um, so Augusta is like, because they put Peaches on the phone, she's under the impression that Lakin is staying with Peaches, not with Ted.
Right. Well, she is. She sleeps on her sofa.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So they were
Oh, I thought she
honest
was just
about
sleeping
it.
in the bed with Jade.
No, she sleeps on the sofa. Well, she did a couple times at Peaches. She slept on the sofa.
Yeah. Um, oh, so while they're at the studio, the girls were there when they found the cop. Um,
Mm.
Lakin gets noticed by the producer and she gets offered like a role, like an extra role in the background or whatever. And Jade is like, "Oh my god, I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you," and she's like pissed.
That was funny.
Oh,
That did crack
I
me
know I
up.
didn't respond to this, but you sent me a DM of Melissa Reeves, probably then Brennan, doing like a bubblegum
Commercial.
commercial. And she would have been on Days at that time. So I was like, oh, that's interesting that she was doing commercial.
Yeah, I forget what year it said. I thought it said a
I think it
year,
said
but I can't
88 or
remember.
89, something like that. I'm
Was
like,
it?
she was on
Yeah, so
Days.
she was well in the days at that point.
um,
Yeah, I thought it was funny though. Like I didn't even know she did commercials.
right. um, so yeah, it's just like a speaking, like a background role, but Jade is jealous, obviously, because she's been working so hard to try and get a role somewhere.
Right, she's trying to get anything, and then she just gets this little role of sitting in the back of a restaurant. I don't even think I think it was like a non-speaking part.
Right.
But they're like, oh, they like how you look or something, which I thought was silly. I'm like, did they really do that?
Was Ted also in it? Because I feel like he was sitting with her at that table when she was filming.
Mm,
Or maybe
I
it was
don't
after like
remember.
the yelled cut. I don't know.
I think it was after, but I'm not sure. I don't think he was.
Also, I'm getting really frustrated with Danny because like you went there, you were the one that got discovered, like as a stuntman, so to speak. And I just feel like he's not doing anything to like work in the business. Like, why are
No,
you there?
right? I was
Also,
confused by
when is
that
the summer
too.
gonna be over? Go home.
I know.
I'm so sick
Well,
of Los
remember,
Angeles.
you gotta remember how we're watching. We started in what, July, so we're probably in only early August or mid-August
No,
maybe.
actually the episodes I've been watching have the original air dates attached to them in the description, and where we ended, we're in September 5th.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And we're about to lose CC. We're about to get a recast very, very soon.
I know, I'm so upset because he's so good. I like Peter, what is his name? Peter Michael Richmond or something.
Greg walked in and saw CC, and he was just like, "Who is he?" He's like, "He's been in things," and I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "He's Andrew
Everything.
Laird on Dynasty." I was like, "Blake's lawyer." He's like, "Ah." I was like, "Yeah, but he's been in like everything." So
Yeah, he has like 200 credits. Like it's crazy. Yeah.
I always laugh because my like, as much as I love soaps now, my first interaction with him was that Friday the 13th movie before I even
That's
saw him on soaps.
Jason Takes Manhattan, I think he was in.
Yeah. Um. So Jade gets invited to a party by this producer, and there's like a bunch of other skeezy producers there. It's like a pool party,
I
and
said it was
Danny is
like
not
a
having
lot
it.
of I said it was a lot of hot daddies.
Are you in your notes? There's a lot of hot toddies.
Yeah, that's what I put. I mean, they were handsome men and they were like half naked. I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Yeah. I was texting with Matt as I was watching it, and we were kind of going back and forth, and I was just like, "I love Peter. He's so hot," and he's like, "I like Warren."
Dude, Warren is a beautiful man. Like, it's just
Really?
like this
He doesn't really do it for me.
tan, tan Ken-like doll with his shorty shorts on.
With
I'm
his
like,
lifeguard shorts.
I mean, I don't particularly like him as a character, but I mean, he's
He's
got a
nice to
good
look
body.
at.
He's nice. He is pretty.
um, so Danny's not having it. He like somehow makes his way into the party and tries to get Jade out of there. She pretends like she doesn't know him.
He climbs through the window.
Right. She pretends like she doesn't know him. I'm like, you're a dick.
Yeah,
Like you're gonna get your friend arrested.
right.
Um, but she manages to get out of that party without like, excuse my language, getting gangbanged. Because I just feel
Well,
like these men are like all like schmoozing all over her.
well, they're schmoozing, and didn't they? The one say that they were a gay couple, and then like the
All right.
producer's grandmother came in, so it almost looked like they made it look like it wasn't anything. But then he said to them like, "Oh, gentlemen, it's working or whatever." They're like grooming her
Yeah.
because they're trying to like, so they are up to. I wasn't sure because I was like, "Oh, okay, so is this legit?" Like I was confused, and then once they said that, I'm like, "Oh, all right." So they're just grooming her to, I don't know, be a porn star, a hooker. I don't know what they want. Pose nude.
So spoiler alert, I think it's porn because I don't know if we're watching it on the same channel, but the titles on the episodes I'm watching are very spoilery. They basically tell you what's going to happen in the episode. And one of them
Uh,
says Jay does a porno. And I'm like, what?
oh no, mine don't. Mine don't say that.
Yeah.
I can never
Um,
find the same list. I don't know why when I type it in, it's not there. So
really?
some other list came up, and that's the one I use. I like when it's like people speak French all of a sudden. Do you get that too?
Yeah. It's less than I remember it being, like when I first tried to watch it
Yeah,
years ago. So they must have re-edited it. But every once in a while, there's like 3 to 5 seconds of French, and then it like goes back
I
to
know.
English.
It cracks me up. It's always like they're just talking normal and they're like, "Bonjour, mon ami," and you're like, "What? What's happening?"
um. So where was I? Oh, so yeah, I just don't like Jade's whole attitude towards Danny. Plus, she's playing games with him. Like there was like a hot night, and she like was fooling around with him, and she dropped like this freaking dollar store looking heart necklace down her blouse, and she was like trying to get him to fish it out. I'm like, what are you doing? You
Right.
know he likes you. Like you're just playing
I
games.
know.
Nobody's paying attention to you right now.
Well, he's playing games too. He was playing games back. He's like pretending not be interested in her to get her hooked, and then like she started coming around, and then he's like, "Oh, I want to be a priest." Like he's doing all like they're just like being weird and flirty. Like I'm like, what is happening?
See, I read that
Um,
more of him trying to protect himself from getting hurt by her. So he's like resisting her, and
no,
she's
he's
just being a
trying
dick.
to get her. He's still trying to get
I'm
her.
on Danny's side. Fuck Jade.
He wants to fuck Jade. That's why
Like,
he's
yeah,
always trying to
but he's
get
not
her.
like he doesn't.
He so does, dude. He's on
When
her
they had
like
that whole like when she was like, "Oh, I like this movie," and she like took over the couch, I was like, "Good." I was like, "You go take over the bed. She wants to play games. Go take her bed. Lock her out."
what was the one thing she said? She said like, "I wanna." Did you clean the bedroom? I'm like, why would he clean your room? Like
Right.
he in that room. You clean the bathroom, yes, because they share that bathroom in there. But I'm like, whatever. That was weird.
I couldn't figure out the snack. I don't know why this was supposed to be sexy, but she was like, I love to eat before I go to bed." I'm like, I feel like that's not recommended. Like usually doctors say don't eat before bed, like or don't go to bed on like a full stomach.
I get the heartburn when I like before.
But I couldn't figure out like what she was making. I thought she was making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because there was product placement with the Jiffy peanut butter label facing.
I did like the part where because she was being jealous of Lakin, but then she went out and bought her ice cream, and she's like, she got mad at herself. I'm like, I do this stuff, so like, I'll get mad at myself for doing something, and I do what Jay did. So I'll be like, oh, I bought them this because I did this, and I was just like, wow, I relate to her.
Please don't relate to Jade. Please don't.
I think you
Relate to
closet like Jade.
Santana or something.
I think you closet like Jade because you always laugh at them.
That I
But
closet like her? No, she's
yeah.
frustrating. I would hate her as a person in real life.
I think I don't know. I like her. I like I like the stuff. Danny gets on my nerves a little bit, but I like
Yeah.
Ted now and all that. But
It's
but yeah,
funny.
she was.
So I started 90s GH with Derek, and I think it's an actress that plays Dominique. I don't know. There's like three women actresses that I keep confusing, um, like the characters. But it's who she actually played a recast Lakin, and I'm like, wow, they actually did look similar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Huh. And what year are you in GH?
92.
Oh, okay.
But back to Santa Barbara. So I guess that's it for the LA stuff as far as like the teens. There's more teen stuff that kind of floods over into Santa Barbara.
Yeah,
Oh
they
well,
cut with
Augusta
between
makes
Lakin
her
and
way
Ted.
there to like
Oh,
retrieve
right,
Lakin.
right, right.
um, and
Because
she
Lakin went without her permission, basically.
yeah. Lionel is sending gifts, and apparently this is a pattern. This is what he does when before he returns from like long trips. He sends
That
like
was funny.
extravagant gifts.
I actually made an so what he sent like what was it,
A
Egyptian
sarcophagus.
basket? So I also said, I'm like, was that the same one from Days? You remember
That's
that
what it made me
one?
think of, the one that Eugene was hiding in when they thought he was the serial
Uh-huh.
killer. I thought exactly of
That
that.
Eugene's cousin had. I'm like, is that the same one? Because I'm like, how many of them would they have in Hollywood? Like, and it would have been used in '83 on Days,
Hmm.
so it was '84. It could have been the same thing. I don't know how the lots work and all that, but I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I
right.
literally thought of the exact same thing. Um, it's funny. Minx and Augusta kind of had a conversation where they were civil, and they both kind of like were on the same page of like knowing how Lionel is.
Yeah. I
Um,
like I like their interactions a lot. That's what I was really enjoying the Lockridges. I don't understand them, but I really liked everything that was happening.
so a funny thing, which I think is very interesting, and I'm really paying attention to the dynamic now. Matt texted me, and he said that Lionel and Augusta's marriage is loosely based on the creators of the show's marriage. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
"What?" I was like, "They're crazy."
Yeah, really.
So now I'm, like, really paying attention to, like, their dynamics, just, like, and trying to imagine that in real life.
I love Lionel.
Do you? I'm kind of on the fence with him.
I love him.
He's a little too, like, goofy.
Like I know that actor, which I did look him up, which I'll read in a little bit when we get to him. But I you know him
Well, I know
from
he
stuff,
passed
right?
away recently, like a year ago, right? Or this
Last year,
past
yeah.
year.
And he was just currently in that Palm Royale show on Apple.
He was a judge, and he
So
was
how
on,
funny is that?
The Bay.
Literally walked up or worked up until he died.
He was on The
Crazy.
Bay. Was he on Guiding
Yes.
Light?
All right. If you want me to bring my list out now, then I will. So Lionel pops up in one of these episodes. His name's Nicholas Coster.
Mhm.
He played Lionel from '84 to '93.
Oh, he was on it
He
the
just
whole
died
time.
last year. He was recurring, I think, because he also did All My Children in 1988.
Oh.
The fuck? Sorry. I just saw something flip up. I don't know if Monty's playing with something, but it was really weird. Sorry. I gotta see what he's doing. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Right.
He's just playing. He's not. I'm not used to him playing. That's weird for me.
Why are you enjoying yourself?
He doesn't usually do that. Come here. All right, sorry. So anyway, he was on Another World from 80 to 8, all right, 70 to 80. He did the spin-off of Another World called Somerset.
Oh, I always forget about
The
Somerset.
Bay. He did a few episodes of Dallas. He was in As the World Turns from 93 to 95. He was on Beverly Hills 90210 in one episode.
Hmm,
Who his name was George. Just a random episode. I don't know who he played
that's such a
exactly.
generic name. I would never know, like, who George was.
I know. He was on One Life to Live right before Santa Barbara from '83 to '84.
Okay.
And also, I was just like so impressed with him, I had to go further. So I looked up I'm like, he had to win an Emmy or something. He did win an Emmy for The Bay, for a
Oh,
guest star on The Bay. He also was nominated for Santa Barbara 4 times. He did not win, but he did win a Soap Opera Digest Award in 1988,
okay.
and he was nominated in '86. Because I was just like, this guy is good. Like he just won me over, and I just liked
See,
how he was, and I was like,
that's why I always liked the Soap Opera Digest Awards better than the Emmys, because I feel like that was more like a gauge of like what the fans liked. Because Days never got Emmy love, but they always swept at like the Soap Opera Digest Awards.
right. I know. I felt the same way.
Plus, I always felt like they were more casual. Like I just felt like I don't know, they were more fun.
Did you know it was him? Like, did you see it before? Like when he was in the wherever they were, the beach house or wherever, I don't know where they were.
Yes, because I do remember. So that was like episode 23 or 24. So I remember him showing up because remember I kept saying I feel like I've met Lionel, like I've seen his introduction.
Oh, okay.
Because I was actually thinking about you watching this. I'm like, I wonder if he knows that it's Lionel, just based off of
I
like how people are acting, or if you're
assume
like, who is this?
I assumed because I recognized his face, so I know
Okay.
him from things. And then I was just like, "Is that Lionel?" But then, like, she didn't say anything when it was him, so she didn't, she didn't was like Lionel. They like did a dance or something.
Yes, and at this point, I think Matt had already texted me, so I was like, oh, do they do this like foreplay thing where they pretend not to know each other?
Yeah, yeah,
But
they're very
I
odd
thought
couple.
Warren saw him because it looked like Warren looked right at him before he sat with his mother. Like he was like, "Oh, Dad's here" or whatever. So I was really confused when he like punched him because I was like, "Wait, didn't you see him? Like I saw you look at him." Unless that was an
Yeah,
actor
maybe.
mess up and he wasn't supposed to look
Yeah,
at
I
him.
don't. Right, I don't know. I don't understand that dynamic. I'm very confused by it. So like I don't know how long was he gone for? Because he like I feel like he almost didn't recognize his kids or something. I was like, what is happening?
Right.
It
They
was
don't really
weird.
say. I assumed it was just like months at a time, but like who knows? Augusta seems to be under the impression that he has like women all over the world, and that's why she feels so free to like sleep with Joe.
Oh,
But
for
speaking
sure.
of
Well, you
Joe,
gotta.
I forgot where we left off because it's been a while. So when I saw the car coming at him, I was like, "Oh, right." And in my head, I'm like, "He gets hit by the car. That's where we left off." But we didn't actually see him get hit, I guess.
Because he didn't.
We didn't. And then it's like, was that Augusta in the car, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he like roughs her up a little bit, and she's just like, "I'm sorry, I followed you." And she like does this whole dramatic, like, "I just couldn't bear the thought of you possibly meeting up with another woman."
Yeah. And then he's like, no, why are you really here? And she's like, oh, I forget. Then she came up, but yeah, did she say? I thought she said another excuse first, though. I can't
Oh, I thought she
remember.
doubled down on the fact that she like loves him and like doesn't want to lose him to another woman.
I don't know what I'm so confused with
But
her.
he's
She's
like
very
he's
complicated.
basically like you messed up a meeting or whatever. He's like, "Get out of here," and he's like, "Don't follow me again," and she like drives off.
Yeah.
Um, and then later on, he like quits, and she like says that basically is like he's the best sex of her life or whatever. She doesn't say that, but she's just like, what we had was like very special to me, and like I can't bear to like lose you. She's like, please don't leave. She's like, I could even deal with the fact if there's other women. She's just as long as like you stay. And he like, she's like, I know I'm thick-headed, but I finally believe that you're innocent. And he like takes back his resignation because he's like, I have to stick around with people that believe in me. And then they make
Yeah.
out, and then you kind of see her face on his shoulder, like, yes, I got him.
Yeah, she's a character.
I love
For
watching
sure.
them. I love watching her, but I also love watching them. I think they're hot, honestly.
They are. I like them too. But
um,
we have been missing the dog. The dog hasn't been on any of these
he's
episodes.
mentioned, but it hasn't been
Yeah,
on.
he was mentioned. He was mentioned. Yes. But like
Um,
usually we see the dog around. It was
so
probably too much.
Lakin's home, and Augusta is serving some appetizers, and
Yeah,
when people ask what it is,
that's where I
um,
come into play.
she
It's
says
me.
pigeon. She says pigeon, and Lakin immediately knows. She's like, as in carrier pigeon.
That was
So
crazy.
she cooked the pigeon.
I still didn't believe it. Like I thought she was gonna be like, oh no, it's just in a cage somewhere, but like no, it seems like she did. She really did eat that pigeon.
Right.
That was fucked up.
Right.
I was actually in shock when she said that. I was like, really?
Yeah, it was messed up.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and I feel like
crazy.
that's the last straw for Lakin. She's like, I can't live here. I can't stay here. And she just like runs upstairs to like pack a bag or whatever.
I do not blame her one little bit. I
Also,
do not.
what was it up with Lionel just like sleeping on the floor? Like literally legit on the middle, like in the middle of the room. I was like, he's weird.
Yeah, he is very oddball.
um, he also like this is later on, but he like wrote on the mattress, basically claiming it and saying like no other man shall sleep in this bed. And I'm like, well, too late. Joe's already been in that bed.
Yeah.
um,
I like when Augusta said that Ted is a she's like get listing the reasons of why she can't see her. She's like, well, he's a Capwell and he's a loser. I'm like, damn, like
um,
he's a Capwell and he's rich. What are you talking about?
so Lakin ends up calling Kelly and asking if she could stay there for the night, and Kelly
Well,
agreed because Kelly.
she was trying to get a hold of Ted. She
All
couldn't
right,
get him,
so Kelly was like, I'll
and then
keep trying to
Kelly
get a hold
answered.
of Ted. You come over here or whatever. So, because Kelly's the nice one in the family, so well, Kelly and Ted are the nice ones.
Yeah.
um, so Ted, oh she goes over to the Capwells, and Cece's like, oh, it's not Cece, it's Mason at first. Mason's like not about it. He's like, Dad's not gonna like this, and she's like, will you be quiet? She could hear you. Your voice carries.
Yeah.
um,
Everybody's carries in that house. It like echoes.
let's pause on this for a minute because I want to talk about Santana because that's the other thing that I wasn't really into. She she seems to be
With her
flirting
hair
again. I feel like they're still chem testing her with like Cruz.
screws.
He doesn't like the pattern. He doesn't like beige. He says blondes don't look good on beige. So I'm
Yeah.
like, blondes. Eden's a blonde. I'm like, were they hinting at something? um,
Yeah.
she doesn't know how to horseback ride, but she ends up like stealing a horse. No, let me rewind. She gets paid a visit by Joe
Oh, right. Yes.
because there was a love letter from Channing to Santana, and he like before he died, and he wants to question her about it because everybody's like, were they having an affair? And I'm like, oh, I thought this was public knowledge.
Well, it was Cece, right?
What was Cece?
I thought it was Cece having an affair with her
No, it was Channing, the
because they
son
were
that
supposed to get
died.
married, so that doesn't make sense.
What?
Channing and her were supposed to get married, weren't they?
Yes.
Wasn't that why everybody was there? So why would it matter if they were having an affair? I thought it was Cece. That's what I thought it was. The point of that was the letter.
No, the night that Channing died, that wasn't because they were getting married. She was a cater waiter at that point. And then 5 years later, she was in like in a gown. Um, Not a cater waiter. Apparently, she's an interior designer now.
Right.
No, I don't
All
know
right.
what
I
the
was
first party
confused.
was, but the second party was Kelly and Peter's engagement party.
It was the engagement party. I thought she was supposed to be with what's his name with Channing,
Channing.
but I thought that
No,
was known.
no. I
Oh,
see. I felt like it was a secret then because she was a cater waiter or she was part of like the staff. But I felt like once he was dead,
okay.
I feel like that was common knowledge that they were having something. The only thing
I
I
thought it
thought was
was
a secret was that she got pregnant.
right. I thought it was Cece. That's why I was so confused because I was like, because of what was happening too, and I was like, oh, that makes sense because if Cece's in love with her, then this would happen. Like that's why I was confused.
No, it was Channing, the dead brother.
Mm,
um,
the dead brother.
So Joe pays her a visit. She doesn't want anything to do with him because she thinks that he killed Channing. He shows her the letter and she's just like, how dare you bring this to me? And he like snatches it from her. She locks him out. At the stables, Cruz tries to like set up a meeting with Joe and her, and she's like not having it.
Nope.
Before that, she had made a note that she hasn't ridden a horse a lot, but she has. And she takes like the most dangerous horse out, and she ends up getting like thrown from the horse.
Yeah.
And so she's like injured, and nobody knows where she is.
Yeah.
Um,
Happens all the time on soaps. Happened to Blake. Dynasty.
she ends up like finding like a cave or something, and like putting herself in there. Everybody's looking for
Yeah.
her. Cece's got the helicopter out.
Yeah, it was fun.
Was there a rattlesnake?
Yeah, she got bit by the rattlesnake.
She got bit by a rattlesnake,
He shot the rattlesnake.
which was like weird for me because I just watched Port Charles and Livy got bit by a rattlesnake. I'm like, why are they so relevant right now in my life?
I know, in totally different years. That's weird.
Yeah, decades.
And it's funny because on Dallas there was a rattlesnake too that was that scared the horse that Pam was on, and that's how she lost the baby.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
Damn rattlesnakes.
and damn horses.
Stay away from horses, people.
Everybody's got thrown from horses.
Seriously. In every soap I think we watched.
Cece ends up, was it Cece?
Yeah.
Cece ends up coming to her rescue. Carries her onto the helicopter. They get her to the hospital. She apologizes for everything. I was really happy because like we watched 8 episodes and she barely even brought up her son. Like that, like we know why she's trying to get close to Cece because she wants to find information about her son, but like it wasn't mentioned at all.
I know. I almost felt like this was like a setup to get closer to him from her. But I don't know if she's that devious to do that. But
I think it is, honestly, because I was a little bit grossed out, but they end up kissing.
That's why I got confused. I'm like, oh, so that would make sense with the letter. Like if he was like in love with her, then of course he would save her and kiss her now. So yeah, I was confused.
Yeah. No, that was from the dead son.
Gotcha.
And then her mother is like, you know, I know what you're doing. You like that's only kind of the reference to that story, but they don't fast. Like she's not like, I need to find my son, like she usually is.
Yeah.
Cruz sneaks in champagne to the hospital. And she said something like alcohol's not allowed at hospitals. And like I never really thought about that. I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. I was like, that's just not something I've never like, I guess, seen a situation where alcohol was at a hospital.
I believe they did have alcohol when I was there in the early 90s. No, I'm sorry, late 90s, because we had champagne bottles that we gave to when like women gave birth. We would send up these special dinners that they can order.
Oh.
Like a romantic dinner for the father and the wife.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, we had champagne bottles that we offered, and they would have to just buy that, and then we would send it up.
Oh, that's nice.
So we did have alcohol in the hospital, but that was like the only way they can get it.
They don't do that anymore.
We don't have labor and delivery anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the end of that story.
It's soap opera related. It is.
Real world facts.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
So Kelly was kind of like more of like in the background for these episodes, but I laughed. I was like, oh, we haven't heard like her and Joe's love song in a really long time till like the last episode. I was like, oh, and it's back, and they played it twice because.
See what the edits I have, I didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so anytime she was like looking, like having a memory or like staring into space, it was the song.
In fact, I'll tell you what they played. I made note of it. It was the song that people sing on New Year's. Old
Auld
Lang
Lang Syne?
Syne.
Really?
As I'm like, they
Huh.
play, and I'm like, why is the New Year's song? As I'm like, this is probably like August. I didn't remember that it was September at that time, but I was very confused. And then she had flashbacks of like all of their stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if this is actually their song, and they
It
like
was, it
didn't want to
was,
be
'cause I didn't
busted.
hear Auld Lang Syne, I heard their song.
It was really funny. I'm like, this is weird.
Um, so I guess we just get this little tidbit out of the way. Peter, like, makes random visits to Augusta and basically like, threatens her not to say anything about his past, and she's just like, "Blah, I'll do what I want, like, nobody tells me what to do." It was just, like, more of the same. We've seen this already. Um, oh, Joe ends up setting up a meeting with Dominic
Yeah,
and doesn't show, but he does, and he like locks himself, well, not locks himself, but he sneaks into
that was cool in the trunk
in the
of the
trunk, and
car.
that made me think of Roman in the trunk. I kept like associating everything with these.
Right. All of these
um,
things happen all the time.
Dominic ends up driving to a cemetery, and Joe crawls out of the trunk and like lurks, and then when Dominic drives off, he goes to the grave, and I couldn't make out what the grave was, but I was assuming it was Channing's
It's
grave
Jennings, yeah.
because like who else would it be? But it was a little like blurry. I couldn't really see what it said. But yeah, I assumed Channing.
Yeah.
Um, oh, and I guess like it was thunder and lightning or whatever because like it lit up his face. So we actually got to see Dominic's face. And then
Yeah.
Joe had a memory that there was somebody at the party, and then they heard the gunshot, and the person went with him to the study and found Channing. And when he said call for help and looked back, the person was gone.
And it was Dominic.
It was Dominic.
Yeah.
Um, So now Joe thinks
That
that
was
he has his
cool.
alibi, he has his witness. So he basically sets up another meeting with Dominic and holds him at gunpoint. Um, Before that, he tells his mom, "I found my alibi." Like she's all excited, and I thought it too soon. I was like, "Wow, we had 8 episodes and we haven't seen his father." Eric's probably so happy, and then we saw him in the last episode.
Yep, we sure did.
He was
I made
more. I
note.
feel like he was more tolerable.
No, he was not. He was gonna call the cops.
Yeah, but he stopped. Like the mom stopped him.
I put douche dad comes over. They find out that he took the gun. Douche wants to call the police, and then I put hate him really big.
But I feel like when she
He
said
wants
to
to call the
him,
cops on him.
I feel like when she said to him he's found his alibi or whatever, he looked happy.
He did, and he still wanted to call the cops after that.
Well, he wanted to call the cops because the family's gun was missing from underneath the desk.
He's the
And I'm like, I
worst.
guess
He's the
guns weren't
worst
required to be in
person.
boxes at this point, like stored away in a
Right.
box.
I hate him.
She's like, nothing's gonna happen. He took the gun before and nothing happened. Like he's just out there like pointing the gun at everybody.
I wonder if that actor like hated his character. Like I would be like, God, I'm such a dick.
It drives
Hate
me
myself.
absolutely insane when I see the mom because she looks so familiar, and I've looked up her credits and I've seen her in nothing that
She
I
does
could.
look, but she has that face. I've seen
She
her in
just looks
some
like a
things,
sitcom
but
mom from like the 80s, and like it drives me absolutely crazy. Or maybe
she
she looks
does.
like somebody I know in real life, and that's why I'm just like, who is she?
Yeah.
um yeah, every time I see her, I'm just like, who are you?
So yeah, like I
um
am. I hope this Dominic shit comes out soon because I'm like, I just want to get it over with. Like, who is it? Let's go.
yeah, but we finally got some movement at least. A
A
little
little
like,
bit, yeah.
yeah. um
You can tell, like, because you can know. I think it was Rosemary. I forget who plays Forsyth or something.
uh-huh, that
Who
sounds familiar.
was the original? And she looks, and then that's her. Like, as I was like, oh yeah, she was in a Charlie's Angels episode. So I'm like, yeah, that's her.
You can tell it's a
That's my
woman in
girl.
makeup because of the cheekbones. That's definitely like a woman's like bone
Yeah,
structure.
yeah, yeah. She's a
um
pretty woman.
so
It's a shame she won't be playing the character soon.
So Cruz tells Kelly about the alibi and everything. And she's just like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, he's innocent." I'm like, "Yes, bitch, that's what he's been telling you since he got out." It's like
That's what I don't get. Like, that's why I'm not into Kelly and him. Like, if we're supposed to care, like, I don't. I'm like, I like Joe with Augusta. I don't really like Kelly with Peter, but whatever. It is what it is.
Um, I wonder who like if Kelly's gonna have like a consistent love interest once Joe's gone because we know Joe's not gonna be around forever. Um, so I wonder about that. I don't know.
And they don't recast them that
They
you know
do,
of.
but then I think
Oh,
they get rid of him. Like I
oh,
think the
okay.
whole family goes away, so it's like this is all for nothing, pretty much. It's all filler, knowing that.
Well,
um,
I mean, it's not at the same time because that's the story. So, I mean, it's not filler at the time, but then they just
right.
decided to get rid of that family for some reason.
Um, so where was I going with this? Oh, Peter and Kelly
Mason. Oh,
announced a wedding date, but
oh yeah,
Cece's not going to be around, so he asked them to push it a month. So he's like November, and I'm like, right for November sweeps.
November sweeps, the middle of November sweeps.
I'm like, maybe that's when like things will really amp up because it'll be sweeps.
I hope so. I mean, I think I mean, not that it's amped up, but it's interesting enough for me to care. Like, I do like
I already
everything
feel
that
like it
happened.
amped up a little bit in these episodes.
It did. And Lionel helped it, I feel like, for sure.
Um, am I forgetting anybody? We talked about Santana, the teens. Um, oh, so Joe calls the cops and it gets forwarded to Mason. I'm like, what? How does the police station just forward like an emergency call to like a rich family? Like that's corrupts.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I
right.
know
I guess
he's like the DA. He's like, but still, that's not you're not the police.
right. I guess because it was Joe, and that's what they're just like. If Joe calls you, just forward it to us, and we'll take care of him. Like, I don't know. It's
Also, I
weird.
feel illegal because what if they like hurt him?
Well, we did forget to mention that with Peter like going after Augusta is got Mason's behind it. Remember, Mason's the
All
one
right.
that
Mhm.
wanted him to go, and I forget what it was. Find something. Uh, find if something was there. Deeds or something.
Hmm.
And they were gonna frame Joe, I think, is what the plan is.
All right, because there was something missing from, or he's gonna say there's something missing from the house.
Yeah, so I think they're
And
trying to arrest Joe, like
yeah,
for
because I
something
remember
else.
thinking when he said, "I'm gonna issue a warrant for a search of their house," and I'm like, "You can you
Hmm.
do that without probable cause? Like you could just issue a warrant for whatever you want." Like,
Right?
um, yeah, that's a little shady. Um, oh, we forgot to talk about Ted. So Augusta and Lionel want Lincoln to come home. They don't want her staying at the Capitals. They go over there
Yeah.
to try and retrieve her. Lionel goes
More
first, and he
more
says that
so
Augusta,
Augusta.
huh?
More so Augusta, because Lionel doesn't see he seems to be the dad that doesn't like care as much. Like he cares, but he's just like, do your thing. Like he seems like.
Yeah.
But
So he
Augusta is
goes
the
over
one that's
there
very stern.
and he says that Augusta's gonna apologize, and Lincoln's like, she's never apologized for anything in her life, and I'm like, right, and I was on Lincoln's side, I would be like, and I wouldn't believe her anyway. She's only doing it because she told her to. Like, it's not a sincere apology. So I'm saying, like, I'm such an asshole. I'd be like, I don't believe
Right. She did apologize about the pigeon. So she did like follow up with like I'm sorry about the pigeon, but you
you.
did this and this and this, and you deserved it. You
Cece was like
deserved the
horrified.
pigeon.
Also, like I kept thinking.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of kept thinking that it was all going to come out that it wasn't the pigeon, but when she did apologize, I was like, oh, I guess she really did it. Like she was like,
Did
I had to
you
take my
did
anger out
you
on something, and it was the pigeon.
did you notice that they talked in circles? Like we have no idea why these families hate each other. So
No,
even
Lincoln
after
was
they
just like,
talk.
whatever happened is in the past. She's like, I'm living in the now. She's like, and I don't care about any of that.
Well, even like Lionel and Cece were talking and they talked in like circles. They never mentioned anything like that
Specific.
happened why
Yeah,
they hate each other. Like
right.
like they're dead set against each other. And that's why they were like, oh well, at least we're bonding over this, that we don't want our kids together.
Right.
And then Cece almost seems pretty proud of Ted for standing up to him and leaving with Lakin. He almost seemed like, that's my son, like get your girl. Like he seemed like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like they're
So
confusing
Lakin
me.
did get a hold of Ted, and he like drove all the way back to Santa Barbara just to like settle this.
Yeah.
And they had decided that Lakin was going home against her wishes, pretty much. And then Ted came storming in, and he was like, "Not if I have anything to say about it." And he's like, "We're gonna be together. I don't care what you say. Like we're in love." And then she runs to him, throws her arms around him. He's holding her, and he's like, "We're gonna go upstairs and pack a bag, and we're gonna spend the night together." And I'm just like,
And honestly, Augusta was more mad that they were doing it in front of the Capwells. Like she's like, you're
"Yeah,
embarrassing
yeah."
us. Like, why are you doing this here?
I think it may have been before the teens were present in the room. Maybe Lakin probably was there, but she kept saying, she said something like, "Your son is gonna get my daughter in trouble." Oh no, Lakin was there because she's like, "He's not gonna get me in trouble," and I'm like, "In trouble code for pregnant," because that's what they would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, not so much in the 80s, but that's how I took it. Maybe on Peyton Place they would say in trouble.
They definitely would, for sure.
um,
But do you think they're gonna tell us like why the families hate each other, or do you think it's like not written yet? They think they're like, we don't really know why these families hate each other, but they do.
I feel like we're gonna find out. We have to. That's like, I feel like it's an important part. We can't just hate each other for no reason.
We found out, what else did we find out? We found out, remember, Santana was talking to her mother about who's Cece's ex-wife.
hmm
I wonder if that's going to mean anything. She was trying to find out information about her for some reason.
Yeah, she said the
And
first
then,
wife was Pamela and the second wife was
right,
Sophia. Sophia's the one she
Sophia.
remembers.
Yeah, she was like, she had these pretty dresses or
So Pamela
whatever.
must be Mason's mother because
Right.
Mason doesn't have the same mother.
And then the other, what, three kids are there?
Yeah, it's Kelly,
Kelly,
Eden,
Channing.
and Ted.
Oh, Eden and Ted. So
Yeah.
four kids.
Oh, I also looked it up. Eden comes at episode 44 or 45, around there.
So we have a lot to go.
Yeah. I thought it was
Before
probably,
Eden
I knew it
comes.
was probably around 30, but it's a little bit further.
I'm like, where's Eden? Nah,
Because again, spoilers in episode titles, it said like Eden's first episode. I'm like, 45.
I don't even really care because I'm actually liking everything right now, and I love Lionel, so I'm excited that he's there. And it cracks me up. Li Lionel and Augusta just make me laugh. Like she's like pushing him away constantly. He like spanked her on the butt, like he spanked her.
I think he bit her butt
Did he bite her butt
because she
too?
said he bit
He
me,
spanked
and
it too. He
we
was
saw
like
her.
spanking her.
He like pulled her, or yeah, he like pulled her over the couch, and her butt was like in his face, and he went, and then they like cut from the scene, and then she had a scene later with Minx, and she was like, "Your son bit me," and she's like, "Where?" And she's like, "I'm
Oh
not showing
yeah,
you."
you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, so
she
he
did.
like bit her
Yeah,
butt.
you know what? It's fun. I didn't catch that. I guess because like I was doing things, so like I was listening more so than than watching.
Oh, Matt wanted me to mention the last few episodes. Augusta's earrings. He said that they looked like she had tape hanging from her earlobes.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, they were like this like clear. I guess they were supposed to be diamondy looking bulks, but they look like pieces
Huh?
of tape hanging.
It's weird.
um
Bizarre.
so yeah,
Oh,
I
and then
guess the Joe thing ended with him holding Dominic at gunpoint. His conversation with Mason, and he basically said, "Get the cops over here." And you hear the sirens, and I just like, and that's how it ends with him holding him at gunpoint. I'm like, this isn't gonna go how he wants it to, because
I thought
it took
Dominic.
too long to get the cops
I
there, and
I thought Dominic like pushed him over or something, because
he went
I
to
couldn't
grab
tell what was
something,
happening.
and Joe kicked it out of the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because I couldn't see what was happening. It was too dark. I was like, what
right.
is happening?
Yeah, so Joe still
Um,
has the upper hand, but I just feel like by the time the cops get there, Dominic's probably gonna slip away somehow. I just feel it in my bones.
oh, and I like at the end of the last episode too, Augusta was like getting ready for bed. She puts her like sleep thing on, and like
hmm
Lionel scares the shit out of her
Right.
in the bedroom. She's like, I'm gonna go to Lakin's room since she's not staying here tonight.
Yeah, and Ted and
And then,
Lakin, like, try to sleep in the car, and it's uncomfortable and cold, so they end up getting a motel room together.
yeah.
He says he's Steven Spielberg, and she's Mrs. Spielberg.
Yeah,
Which in '84, he was still fairly, like, a new producer, I think, I feel like.
yeah.
Like, didn't
Well,
E.T. come out in,
Spielberg,
like, '84 or something?
E.T. was 82.
Oh,
That was
okay.
my first movie. I was 3 years old.
Oh,
I
really?
saw E.T. Yeah, everybody went. If you were
Mm.
alive, like you were there.
I
I
watched it a
remember
lot
having,
on VHS as a kid.
I had to stand on the seat. I remember standing the whole time on the seat because I couldn't see over things.
That's funny.
That's my first childhood memory. Of course, it's a movie, like really TV related.
Um, but yeah, I think that's it.
So we lost the
For
pigeon.
the
So
audience, we were,
that's our
really
first
originally
death.
only gonna watch 5 episodes, but then at 24, I texted Eric and was like, "Can we watch more?" Because I was enjoying it.
I was too. It's funny that it was as I thought that too. I'm like, I wonder if he was like actually liking it, and like maybe that's why he said it,
Yeah.
or just wanted to crank more episodes out.
No, I was liking it. I wanted to get a little bit more information, so I was like, "Let's just watch a few more."
So yeah, Mason didn't do too. There was something else I wanted to point out with Kelly. I thought Augusta tells Lionel.
Well, Kelly is like, "Oh my god, he's innocent. Like, I felt so guilty." And I'm just like, "Did you? Because you didn't seem like you were guilty. You were just, like, angry."
Yeah.
Um, I think that's it. We probably knew this, but I took note that, Santana's mother's name is Marissa.
It is?
Yeah.
I thought it was Rosa.
Oh, maybe it is Rosa, and I thought I heard Marissa. I thought I heard Marissa. Maybe they said Marissa and it was a mess up.
You're about to give the audience false
Can
information.
we look up the actress? Is the actress named Marissa and that was a mess up? Like recently, apparently Johnny on Days called his grandfather Roman Uncle Roman, like referring to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so maybe I heard it right and it was a mess up.
And so we still have Santana trying to find out information about her kid, which I'm curious if she ever gets to meet him. This child. Oh,
She
I
does.
did make note. She said some stop spoiling things. She said about her kid. She's like something about she called the baby it or something. And I'm like, she knows it's a boy. So why would she say that? I wonder if she did it by accident.
Maybe.
Because I actually made note of it.
I actually took a mental note when they were talking about his wives, and I think it was Sophia. I think she said was blonde, and I'm like, is Santana about to dye her hair blonde to like
She just
seduce
dyed it dark.
Cece? I know, but like, is she about to go back blonde to seduce Cece because he likes blondes?
I liked her as a blonde too. It's taken me like a little bit to get used to her as dark hair because I liked her as blonde.
But that's all I have.
I think that's all I have. I thought I had something about Kelly, and I'm sure as soon as we get off here, I'm gonna remember it.
Hmm.
Oh no. I like Minx. She cracks me up.
Hmm.
I like when her and her son were talking, and he's she's like, "Oh, what am I gonna do with this sarcophagus or whatever?" He's like, "You put things in it, like photo albums and stuff like that." She's like, "That'll feel like a part of it." I don't know. I just like what Lionel brings to the show. I feel like it almost is like different at this point, and I love Augusta and him. They're hilarious. I hope
Yeah,
they
I
stay
like
together or
their
not,
push and pull.
for sure. Well, she's actually pushing all the time. She like
Yeah.
wants nothing to do with him, and he's like just trying to get some action from her.
Well, I think it's funny because sometimes it feels like she's playing into it, and then she
Yeah,
like flips on him.
yeah.
But then she also sometimes cowers to him. Like when he was demanding that she come over and apologize to get Laken, she's like, "Yes, dear." Like she like did what she was told.
Yeah, I can't find my Kelly note. Oh, when Augusta was trying to like I guess get Kelly pissed. She's like, "Oh, what does Joe like to eat for like random food,
Oh
like
right, I
croissant,
remember that. She's like
croissant
croissant
with
with
like
baby
shrimp."
shrimp, and I'm like, I was like, do people do that? I'm like, I've never heard of shrimp in a croissant.
We'll have to try it. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
really
remember that
weird.
because it was basically like her reminding her, like, yeah, I'm fucking your man. Like,
Yeah, I'm banging you, man. And you mentioned the wedding date. Yeah, I guess that's all that really happened.
it was good. I liked it.
Yeah,
I'm glad we're
hopefully we
back
get to
into
do
it. I
some
know
more
you said you were
soon.
having an issue remembering names because it had been so long.
I did. I couldn't remember Mason's name. There was a few names I couldn't remember. I still don't remember. Oh, Marissa is Joe's mom, I think.
Oh, maybe that's where I
Yes.
heard it. Hmm.
And I'm only thinking that because I couldn't remember her name. And I knew that name sounded familiar. But yeah, I think it's Joe's mom. I can't remember. She doesn't look like a Marissa at all.
I'm gonna go back and look because I remember the scene where I thought I heard it. It was when Rosa came to see Santana at the hospital, and maybe Cece was there because that's when she's like, "What are you doing?" or "I know what you're doing." And I feel like whoever it was like, "Hi," and I thought I heard Marissa.
Oh, and I think Rose is a shitty mom
Why?
because I think she gives the worst advice. Like you have a grandchild out there. Like, why doesn't she like Santana? I feel the same. I feel Santana. Like, I feel her because I'm I gotta shake this woman. Like, what don't you get? Like, your grandchild's out there. Like, she's trying to explain to her, like, what would you do if it were me? And
Hmm.
I'm like, girl, like, right? Get this woman. I hate this woman. Like, what is wrong with her?
I guess it's like because she's worked for the family for so long, she knows how they operate, and she's afraid that maybe like her daughter will get hurt if she pushes too much.
Maybe.
But it also could
I
be
don't
maybe she's
know.
afraid of losing her job over this, her
Or work
livelihood,
for another rich family.
right?
I don't know. It just annoys me because I'm like, I feel like you would be team daughter and like, yeah, I'll help you because I have an in and they
Yeah,
trust me. Like I feel like I would be that way.
right.
Where this mom is
Well,
just
you
like,
said that
oh, you
before.
don't need your kid. You don't need
You
your
said that
kid.
before because there was an episode where Santana was like in his study and she was going through his desk, and Rosa like
Yeah,
popped up right behind her and she was like, "Don't do it."
right. I'd be like, fuck off, mom. How about that? I'm looking for my goddamn kid, and if you're not going to help me, hate my mom. That's exactly what I would do. I was pissed. That gets on my nerves, like to no end. And I'm like, I'm gonna be mad if she doesn't take Team Santana soon.
You don't like the parents on this show, except for Lionel and Marissa.
Um, I like Cece, and
Do you?
he's the man. I do. I
Do you
like
like Cece or
Cece,
do you
and
just like the actor?
I like Cece and Lionel, and that's it. And I guess and Joe's mom's not bad. I don't hate her,
Yeah.
and I like Augusta,
You like
even though
Augusta,
she's an
not
asshole.
as a parent though. You just like her as a character.
I'm a little mad at her because she killed a pigeon for no.
Yeah.
I mean, again, and I'm Team Lakin with that. I'm like, move out, girl. Like, I don't blame you.
So the actor that plays Ted, Todd McKee, I think his name is.
Yeah.
I always thought he was like really sexy on Bold and Beautiful because it's a few years later and he's older. But when he like was standing up to Cece, I was like, oh, that's the actor I know. I was like, I was getting like, I liked him like fighting back. I was like, okay, yeah, do I like Ted? I
You were getting the
was getting
vapors.
the beavers
You're like, oh my.
because here he looks like more like a boy. On Bold, he looks more like a man.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I
I
feel like
don't
here he doesn't have chest hair yet.
right. I don't like I said, he did they won me over with how that went down, I feel like I was okay with them, like, whatever. I was like, whatever. They're still getting to know each other, whatever. They're being weird and cute, and they're what, 17? Well, Lakin is.
Yeah, I'm just like
I don't know how old he is.
I'm getting frustrated with the whole awkwardness that they feel. Like they've already said that they love each other. They're like not afraid to cuddle, but then like when they get put in like potential sexual situations, they get all like very flinchy and like the both of them. I'm like, what do you what?
Eh,
You like each other or not?
Yeah. Well, the awkwardness is like part of it, I guess,
I guess. I don't know.
because they're still young and I don't know when they met or when I don't know that
I mean,
situation.
one would think they live next door that they've gone to school together their whole lives. Like,
Yeah. I also want to know what, like, I never feel like in these shows, like, I don't understand what these people do. Is Cece like work with oil?
I think so.
Okay, so he's like Blake. And then what would the Lockridges do? Lionel's never there,
I have
so
no
he's always
idea.
like gallivanting.
He's like always overseas, apparently.
Right. I don't know. I want to know more about like I really want to know what their feud is, to be honest with
Maybe
you.
that's how they get away with him being recurring because he's always like out of town. So they just like write him
That's
off for like
true.
a few months.
That's right. I like him though. He's fun.
Yeah, I like the
You're not
actor.
into him? You're not
I like
into
the
him yet?
actor. I don't really like goofy characters too much.
I don't think he's that, well, I mean, he's quirky, but I don't think he's like goofy. He's
I
just
don't love it yet.
charismatic. Like
I have to see a little bit more of him before I make like a final call.
he hooked me right from the get-go. Right at the way he just talked to everybody and he's just so chill and I like that.
Yeah. But all right, I guess we can wrap this up.
We
Thank you
can.
for joining for our little bit extended version of Santa Barbara. Hopefully we'll get around to it sooner than later.
Hope
As
so.
always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night. Bye.
Bye.